Wow. Double wow. Triple wow. Did anyone expect this? Did anyone realistically see this coming? McLaren, the news has broke this morning. They're going to be teaming up with their good old, I was going to say rivals, but previous buddies. Now they had a divorce and now they're getting back together. McLaren and Mercedes are teaming up once again for the first time since 2014. With Mercedes supplying McLaren engines from 2021 on a semi-long-term deal. It's at least a 4-year deal, so the earliest it will end is 2024, but we imagine there's going to be performance clauses, contract extension clauses, all that good stuff, which the general public, we're just not privy to. However, they have announced that they're going to be leaving Renault, that they're going back to Mercedes, a partnership which brought McLaren plenty of success. A double back-to-back world champions from Mika Hakkinen back in 98 and 99. Lewis Hamilton historically won the championship in his second ever year of Formula One. Obviously Hamilton now a current Mercedes driver. Could this potentially build bridges so that he could make a return later on in his career? I don't know, that's topic definitely for another day. But McLaren, they were the ones that decided to leave Mercedes at the end of 2014. 2013 was a really difficult year for McLaren. Actually, they won the last race of 2012. Then in 2013, when Hamilton went to Mercedes, McLaren didn't get a single podium all year long. That car was an absolute dog in the hands of Jenson Button and Sergio Perez. The following year, 2014, the first year of the hybrid engines, McLaren was still with Mercedes. But in that season, where Force India, at the time, Williams, those two cars had Mercedes engines, whilst they were on the podiums more than once, McLaren were only on the podium in the very first race of the season. Kevin Magnussen, in his first ever race in Formula One, got a podium. He hasn't got a single one since. Jenson Button that day didn't stand on the podium. However, thanks to Daniel Ricciardo being disqualified, technically he got a podium in that race as well. But that was it. 2015, we all know the story, the meme, as it's become the folklore of McLaren Honda and how that partnership went. They've now moved to Renault. Well, at least they did last year. Last year, I think it's fair to say, was a bedding-in year, a testing year, stabilising the ship, I think is probably the best way to put it. Trying to put the Honda thing past them as best they can and try and slowly rebuild to get back to the front. And whilst last year, it wasn't looking great, especially at the very end of the 2018 season. More often than not, both cars were out in Q1, despite the fact they had Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn in the car. The car wasn't great. They weren't picking up points at the end of the season. At the beginning, they were picking up double points finishes. And going into 2019, especially before testing, I don't think there was much hope for McLaren. I think many people felt they'd have a similar kind of year. However, in the hands of Norris and Sainz, they've done really well. And I, for one, felt that they were going to stay with Renault. Renault, they have their own issues. Funding is always being questioned. They're a team, despite having plenty of backing and funding behind them, every move they do, every race is under the microscope. And you've got to say, the board at Renault seem to be putting the team under a lot of pressure, with constant rumours that they might leave the sport despite only coming back in 2016. Where does this leave them? They'll be the only team with the Renault engine in 2021 as it currently stands. Of course, that could change next week. Say Williams decide to go back. Were Williams at Renault? I think Williams did have Renault engines for a time. Maybe that could be an option for them. I doubt it. But for Mercedes, McLaren have made this big step forward this year. And I have to say, if McLaren had a Mercedes engine this year, they'd comfortably be fourth best. Maybe even fighting for third best. Maybe fighting for podiums on a regular basis. So for McLaren, I totally get it. It's worth maybe just sacrificing a year or two to get used to Mercedes. I'm sure they won't, considering how quickly they've got used to this Renault engine. But for McLaren, this is a big thumbs up. Zach Brown, I mean, the whole team, lovely statements over in all their press releases. Zach Brown, in his particular comment, saying the agreement is an important step in our long-term plan to success in Formula One. Mercedes is the benchmark. And I have to agree with him. Whilst you could argue that in 2019 Ferrari has the best engine on straight line speed, reliability, Mercedes cannot be questioned. Okay. The newer engines, especially in Spa and Monza, there are a few issues in some of the midfield cars, but Williams has been practically, their engine has been impenetrable. This year, Kubica had an issue in quali in Spa, but that is it. The Mercedes team, both drivers, no mechanical failures all season long. So for a team like McLaren, who have had several issues this year with Renault engines, this is only a bonus for them. Mercedes, well, there is a few questions on why they potentially could let a rival use Mercedes engines. However, and again, this isn't concrete, lots of reports that this is really something Niki Lauda wanted, and Niki Lauda a few years back was trying to negotiate with McLaren when McLaren eventually made the switch to Renault. Toto Wolff wasn't a fan of the idea, but now he has changed his mind. And the thing for Mercedes, they've said in their press releases, this is a chance for them to really push themselves. They've been hardly under threat again this year in the constructors, so this is only going to help them learn more about their engine and their potential fight with Ferrari on the engine side, and also help really push the works team to perform even better. I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. I think many of you will agree this is a great move for McLaren, but on a Mercedes side of things, plenty of you are Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes fans. What do you think? Is this the move for them to help them stay at the front, or is this a move for McLaren that could bring them back into championship contention? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one.